Phil's. I can unplug this computer. It's a tablet, kind of a desktop, and we can carry it around if we get desperate. But he's in there. He's connecting.
And it takes people a few minutes to log on.
So right.
Our live, so don't say anything inappropriate, Virginia.
I won't. My daughter's gotten to be quite a follower of what's going on. Now she wants to make one of those biscuit quilts. I think they call them puff quilts or something.
Right.
And we go for Christmas. So
perfect. Hey, there's always something. Hey, Devin, can you find the other charger? Because this is like not an Apple charger, so I'm not sure if it's actually charging. There should be a real charger out there. This is a slow charger. Well, wouldn't you know it that we have all kinds of issues today?
Yeah, I guess. I've been over prepared for like 5 hours now. I finished up about 3:00, so everything's in place and ready to go.
No, the gray one. See if it's over maybe by the other computer. The gray one that goes to this computer. Oh gosh. Well, hopefully my computer doesn't die. Oh, Devin found it, I think. The real charge. You buy extra chargers, but then if they're not the right chargers. Oh, Dina says the puff quilt. That's what she wants to make. Yes.
The puff quilt. Okay. Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody.
Those 40 years ago. Remember those? Do you remember them?
Yes. Everything comes back around.
Oh, gosh, I know.
We're going to be making Quillos again soon.
Oh, I know. I don't think they ever quit making those. They're doing folded stars again.
Yes. Everything goes in circles.
You know how the folded stars, because you've got them at your store. I did a folded Christmas tree in a hoop like 40 years ago. That was a really good selling pattern. It was just folds in a triangle like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, we might have to bring that back for next year.
Digging in the archives the other day, I had to go dig out an ethnic angel because I've discontinued it about 10 years ago, and I found one in my giveaway box. I have the original. I mean, I can print more of them. But since we're doing arthritis doll, you got to do a lady arthritis doll. So that was ethnic angel.
Yeah.
And she could be a lady of the evening, too. She doesn't have to be ethnic.
Well, we love that. We love anything, being able to use our imagination.
Yeah.
So we want to welcome all of you here. We have Virginia Robertson on with us. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties. So while Virginia's husband gets on with the walk around camera so she can take us on a tour, we're just going to chit chat for a few more minutes. Anita says she's having a hard time staying connected also. So if you guys
maybe it's the time of the day and everybody's home from work going online or something.
It could be, you never know. And we just had an earthquake 45 minutes ago. We had quite a little stirring of an earthquake, but it was
really?
Yeah. All of our phones in the shop went off to give us an alarm that told us there's an earthquake, get under a table. And then we kind of were looking at each other, and then all of a sudden we started shaking. So I guess it's a earthquake in advance notice. It's kind of interesting how they know that that's happening.
We just got an Amber Alert here in Colorado that our bank got hacked and to watch our bank accounts. So,
oh no!
I know.
We're gonna have to start.
And I thought, well, I don't know what I can do about that. I'm going online.
Yeah. Everything is crazy.
Yeah.
Phyllis says, hi, Virginia.
Hi, Phyllis.
And we've got quite a few people on. So, Virginia, why don't you tell us how you got started? When you were 12, did you know you wanted to go into quilt making and all that?
No. Oh, no. When I was in home ec in junior high and 4-H, I had to do all of that in 4-H when I was in grade school, and I hated it. It was like we had to make these dorky clothing, like a gathered skirt that made you look fat, you know.
And they
And
never fit right. They
they
never
what?
fit. They
I
never
know.
fit. I
I
I
know.
was
And you were
too.
supposed to make an apron. It's like, a 10-year-old girl. Yeah, I'm real excited about making an apron. But I
Yeah.
did learn to sew in 4-H. I knew I wanted to be an artist in the 8th grade, though, because I had a killer art teacher in the 8th grade. It was one of those aha moments. Being a preacher's daughter, I had to be quiet, and I was in church a lot, and you have to be quiet in church. So I had Big Chief tablets and pencils and paper and crayons, and I drew all the time I was growing up. And so I didn't think of myself as an artist. I drew horses because that's what I was into, and I drew paper dolls. I like to do paper dolls and make up my own paper dolls. Anyway, in the 8th grade, we had an enlightened grades junior high art teacher, and he gave us a big piece of paper and tempera paint, and he put on all kinds of different music, like classical music or Elvis Presley, whatever. And he said, now, every time I change the music, you have to start a new painting, and you can't just paint whatever the music makes you feel like. And I thought that was a blast because when the rock and roll came on, I got the bright colors out and I started splattering paint and everything. And I just said, this is it. I just found my calling. I'm going to be an artist. And I decided in the 8th grade, and I always took art classes in high school. And then I did it for my degree in college. My undergraduate degree was Bachelor of Fine Arts with an art major and a botany minor. And I did a lot of Spanish too, because when I was in high school, I was a foreign exchange student to Mexico. So I was kind of following through a little bit with my Spanish. So it's kind of a weird background. And then when I went to grad school, I went for my master's of fine arts, and I taught at 3 universities before I dropped out of teaching universities, and I started quilting because it was the beginning. It was in the 70s when quilting was really picking up, and I started quilting and doing soft sculpture, and I was doing basketry, and I was coiling baskets and doing raku ceramics, and then I would coil a basket on top of a ceramic bowl, things like that. And I was always into the textiles and everything. And of course, in those days, in the 70s, I wanted to do more like women's art rather than the soldering irons and the welding torches and all the wood. I wanted to do women. Since I was a woman, I wanted to do sewing. So I started doing soft sculpture. Sometime I'll show some of my black quilts that I did. I did these navel gazing quilts while I was in getting my master's thesis with all black wool, black satin, black velvet. I didn't want to use any color because I didn't want to be patronized as a quilter, little old lady. I wanted them to think about my quilting as an art form. And I'll have to show that sometime that would be a fun Zoom.
Yeah,
So
I think they would love it. I think
yeah.
they would love it. Because a lot of the people who follow us are more into a variety of textiles. Definitely not just piece. I mean, we appreciate piecing. We love piecing, although I don't really love to piece because it's very time consuming and you have to be a perfectionist. I love more artsy stuff, and a lot of our watchers do also.
Right.
Sandy says she can relate to no fun early sewing experiences in school. Bad machines, put in zippers, ripped it out so many times it wore the out. And then she grew over the summer so it no longer fit.
Yeah. Well, do you remember in home ec, we used to have to draw a thread to make it perfectly straight, to straighten our fabric. Do you remember that in home ec? I mean, talk about tedious. That makes matching corners look easy, but it does make you appreciate what the bias of the fabric does. And when you get into doll making, particularly, but also in quilting, when you get into 3-dimensional crafts, the grain makes a big difference. When we're going to get into advanced doll making this year with the doll classes that we're going to try, and if you don't do the arms and the legs and the body of your doll with the most stretch, you'll end up with a string bean doll. It won't sculpt properly. And sometimes you want it on the straight of the grain. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want everything on the bias. So it makes a big difference. And of course, you know it with quilts. If you put bias on the edge of your quilt, it's going to stretch when you put the binding on if you don't stay stitch it, you know. Mm-hmm. So there was basic things. It was good to know that stuff, but I can't say I enjoyed it at the time.
Right. Well, and that's what I tell people. You have to have a basic foundation. And I think that's kind of what's lacking a little bit with the younger quilters today, because they're not taking classes. They're kind of teaching themselves, YouTubing it. And so they haven't learned the fundamentals
right.
to make sewing a lot easier. You have to build your toolbox.
While we're talking, I'm going to get the patterns. I'm going to show people and the patterns and tell them about what we're going to do this winter. You yanked me out of retirement yet again, and I'm going to bring it over to the computer. Okay.
He's on.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for those of you who are just joining, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but Virginia's husband has logged on, and as soon as he gives me the thumbs up, I will put him on. It's very close.
You can hear.
Okay. Are we on?
Yes.
Okay.
On.
Let's go.
But all they can see is me. They're looking at the.
Oh, okay. We're going to go in the living room and
switch cameras.
Look at the.
So give us bear with us for a minute.
Oh, we got dark.
Did you pause it?
Let me turn this on.
I know. It's just
there we go. That helped a lot. Okay.
But I can't see what I'm doing. I need to change camera.
Go ahead and change cameras.
I don't know how. Do you know how to change cameras?
Well, your camera, the camera you're holding right now, is on, but it has a picture of you, and then you push the button, and now it's like not your real picture.
He's trying to change cameras here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There we go. There we go. And then so just reverse it.
Reverse it.
Reverse it?
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to have all you ladies and gentlemen come into the studio and try to film, because it is not as easy as it should be.
I'm going to take the computer. I'm unplugging my computer. It's on battery, and I'm going to take it in the living room so he can hear you. He can't hear you either.
What? Oh, I didn't know that the earthquake generated in Gardnerville. It was a 5.7 earthquake here. They felt it all the way in Grass Valley, which is an hour north of Sacramento. Gosh.
There we go. I'm on.
Okay.
Say what?
Okay.
Okay.
But I can see myself on there, Lynn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're
I can see you.
You're kind of working blind. This is we're working blind.
Okay. I'm gonna remove this one, I think, so that now we shouldn't have any echoing. All right. How you doing, Lynn?
We can, I think we're on. You need to turn your sound on or something.
I guess.
Oh, I can hear you guys.
What?
I can hear you. You can't hear?
Yeah, I can, but it's it's computer, not the tablet.
And she's delayed.
Do I need to turn the computer off?
No.
Now it's like I see Lynn's shirt.
Yeah. Lynn, say something.
We got sound.
Yeah, I can hear you, but on the computer, I can't on the tablet.
Maybe turn off the computer.
Yeah, computer.
Oh, no, I think we've got it. I think we've got it. I think you're good, Virginia.
Okay.
I think you're good.
I can't see what I'm filming.
All right.
You're filming fine. Well, you're doing a great job.
Just for him because he can't see through his camera what he's getting. So anyway, just get started and hope for the best. This is the quilt we're going to do, and that's why I came in the living room. By the way, it's dark here in Colorado, but this is the Carpenter's Wheel quilt, and this will be a great quilt for you can do it a fast way or a slow way, three colors or 5 colors. And I did this quilt in my trailer, all from fabric scraps. These are some of my fabric scraps that I had in my trailer, and they're just shorter cuts, all kinds of odds and ends. And you'll notice that I have a box of warm and a box of cool fabric scraps. What's made with that's why instead of having one blue, I had 3 different blues and a green. So I did a 5-color block. But there's another way to do this with just 3 colors. And some of you may do the super simplified. This is just done with fat quarters. So I took, these are the same fabrics in these 2, and I cut out 2 blocks at the same time, and you end up with opposites. You just trade the blocks, and you make positive and negative. And when you put the blocks together, you get another design where they intersect. Here is the difference between a 3-color quilt, and here's one where you use 5 fabrics, which is really a lot more, I think it's a lot more interesting. So what I did is I used a light, medium, and dark rather than just one fabric for the stars. So it's a great way to use your stash, or you can start collecting these fabrics this winter and do it with fat quarters a ball. Do it fast or do it slow.
And they can make the size they want. 4 blocks, 6 blocks, 12 blocks, 30 blocks.
They can do a table runner, whatever they want to do. I just going to tell you, I've done this for guilds and for retreats and for classes. And so far, I've had about 60 people take this as a class. It looks like an easy quilt. Only 2 out of the 60 people that I taught this to got 1 block done in class. So I had to turn it into a 2-day class because they couldn't do a 1 block in a day. Everybody's so confused. It looks easy, but it's a little deceiving. Isn't the piecing that's hard? It's the colorful people. Really good for color. I still, using all my scraps, I still had scraps left over. So I did another little quilt with the scraps from the scraps. So here it is, warm and cool. This is a little disappearing hourglass quilt. And I did this as an extra free demo during the Hollyhock class. So I still have these fabrics left. So guess what I'm making now, Beth? Those chicken chains.
Oh, perfect.
I started making dolls and things that took little tiny things. While I'm still in the living room, I was going to show you what I just finished personally.
Okay, wait just a minute, Virginia, just so that they know before they get sidetracked. For the Carpenter's Wheel, that is going to be a class that we're offering February 24th and March 3rd. They're both Mondays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the first one, you're going to go over color and cutting. And then the second one is going to be a follow-up, and we're going to sew together. And that's $45.
Right.
So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Or if you want to sign up for the Carpenter's Wheel, let us know.
Okay. The other quilt that this is just a little bit of show and tell because I like to do that while I'm in the living room. This was my hand piecing that I did, and it's 30s fabrics. It's dark here, so we're having a little trouble with the light. I hope you can see this, but it's like most of my quilts are bright and really bright, like the carpenter's wheel. But this is a little hummingbird quilt done with 30s fabrics. I just wanted to use up all my 30s fabrics because I had 30-year collection. Well, I ended up all of those new little Riley Blake fabrics came out. They're kind of 30s and kind of not. They're just bright and light and cheery, but low impact. Ended up buying more 30s fabrics, and now I'm back into 30s fabrics when I thought I was going to use up my scraps. So that was a scrap project, but I just finished quilting it, and it was so soft and sweet. I put it on a flannel back, so that could be a baby quilt or a really comfy lap quilt. I also finished quilting one of my UFOs, and it's been my carpenter's wheel. This was an old quilt that I did, oh gosh, 5 years ago, and it was to promote one of my reproduction fabric lines, and this was a project sheet. Anyway, it's a star quilt. I've used paper piecing here for my New York beauties. It's really just the center of a quilt. So you could use that as the center of a quilt. I just had never quilted it. So it got quilted. I'm learning new software and doing some new patterns. So I did some plant pick. Beth, later I'm going to go back behind you. I just wanted to show you some plant picks in my living room. Here's a couple that I did. That was an idea from Eleanor Peace Bailey. They're little reversible chickens on a stick, so to speak. And they're really fun. I love birds. I put birds everywhere. And here is some little chickadees. They're like pin cushions. It was just a download, but I love birds. So we're going to go into the hallway. Shall I take this?
If you guys want the plant pick pattern, you can just type that in and we'll get that to you. You can just type in plant pick pattern. And then the chickadees, was that your pattern, Virginia?
The what?
The chickadees?
No, it was just a download.
Okay.
I'll text it to you. I'll look it up. I forgot the name of it, but it was just a free pattern that I downloaded. I just wanted to try. It was a different type of gusset. It's a bluebird of happiness in my prayer plant right here in the entry, and hanging in the hallway. I made new samples for Beth. You got those right, Beth?
Yes, I have them.
The chicken chains and rooster roads. Well, in doing them, some more new samples here, all done out of Australian fabrics. I have improved this pattern, and I'm probably going to rewrite it a little bit. But one of the bigs I did in the chicken chain pattern was I used yarn for the tail instead of fabric. When I designed this originally, I was working with all batiks. So I wanted to use a lot of batik.
I love for the tails.
Yeah, they're prettier that way, aren't they?
Virginia, do you make the beads on the chicken chain?
Yeah, the fabric. And I'm going to demonstrate this at the end of the video when we get done with the trunk show. Here's another bird. It's an old pattern again. This is a little garland of it's called flock of wrens, and these are done on it in kind of the way the plant picks are done. And it's another one. We'll probably demo this sometime this year when we're doing those, Beth. The same technique is done up here is my fabric paper doll.
And we do have a pattern for the fabric paper doll. If you want that, just fabric paper doll.
You've carried this for years.
Yes, it's been one of my best sellers, especially when we were doing shows. We could not keep those in stock.
All right. It's going to be hard to hold this. Where do I put it?
Poor Lynn, literally filming blindly. You're doing a great job, Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn cannot see. Lynn's usually a really good cinematographer, but he can't see what he's doing. So he's with the computer trying to guess where I am. I'm doing this for Beth. She demonstrated this, but I bought these big They were brocade and tapestry. And I made 10 pumpkins. I'm a pre. And this was my favorite one out of a green brocade. But I love driftwood, and I've always collected driftwood. And I made driftwood. I use my driftwood for the stem. These little pumpkins.
It's perfect.
So
for
we're going to have the pattern for this. This is more the way Beth did hers. You can sculpt. I found it's kind of heavy, so it's so easy and quick. But I absolutely look at this little pumpkin with the driftwood. These are all those little circles that Beth cut in her store. Yeah. And
well,
I bought them.
I give credit. Lynn cut them for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. She's a jewel.
Okay. Anyway, the other thing I did, of course, was the new little pincushion chairs. That was one of the new patterns, and got the little mohair bear sitting in that. And we'll be demoing that. We're gonna get into advanced doll making, and Beth has the Tabitha or the Frida Kahlo doll. But I'll show you the book. You can do the lady jesters. And I'm making, I did these, I sold 2 jesters at the retreat. They were Beth's samples from the store. I sold both of them. So I've got your jesters replaced, Beth. So they're about ready to go into the mail for you.
Perfect.
And I don't know what's going on, but doll making seems to be coming back. I think it's the DIY crafts, just stuffing pumpkins. People are just starting to do more 3-dimensional stuff. So it's good timing to start doing these classes again. I'm gonna go show you some more dolls about the doll making classes and some input from you.
In Virginia, do you have the farmers market bag too? Because that's going to be a class also. Okay.
Yeah, I've got everything here. I'm going to show you everything. Here's the market bag class that we're going to do. It's the market bag. Whoops.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
There's a market bag. And you can see I've done market bags in other fabrics. This is what I bought from Beth. This is Kathy Daughtery collection. I just loved it. So it doesn't have to be vegetables. It could just be pretty fabric. Here's another market bag. Martha Negley. This is 30 years old, and I've never used it, and I just love it. It's pastel fruits and vegetables, and so I made a market bag. You could do a market bag in a different. The whole technique it's a super quick and easy pattern. It's super easy, but we're going to do that, and then probably a follow-up we'll do of Zoom of the big bag later. And you can do a big red bag or a big blue bag. Anyway, the technique is very similar, and I've really switched my bag patterns over to doing foam. It makes the bag stand up stiffer and not be so soft and floppy.
And the farmers market bag class is going to be January 27th. It's a Monday from 9 to 1. So if you want to do that, you can just type in you want to for the farmers market. Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's my cheat sheet. Okay. The other class we're going to do is an arthritis doll. I want to get you on dolls, and I wanted you to do an easy one. And the arthritis doll, Betty's in her store, but here is some arthritis dolls. These are very arty. And this one kind of has like a Picasso-y face on it. It's a black and white. Here's a couple I like black and white. Here's one kind of a mask, kind of a Southwest looking. By the way, they're called arthritis dolls. They started out to be puppets, but they got so tangled up. I didn't want to do the puppets. I started using the turquoise for the joints, and it's like if you have arthritis, it feels like you have rock and sand in your joints. And so people started calling them arthritis dolls because they say, oh, that's how I'm having a flare up. But there's arthritis doll. Here's a miniature arthritis doll. And I've even done little bitty ones called dweebs. They're really small ones. And they're super easy, super quick. And here's kind of a drawing of it a little bit. Arthritis doll pattern looks like this. Mini pattern is also there. And then there has to be arthritis women dolls. So I did an old pattern called the Ethnic Angel. And here is an ethnic angel. She's more of a, I don't know what she is, a tribal gal, whatever. She's a wall doll. She hangs on the wall. And I used a ethnic, like ethnic fabric, Indian bedspreads.
So
And
they
she
can
a little
do the ethnic doll or the arthritis doll in the class?
Yes, you can do either one. They're so similar. Their bodies are very similar. They're very similar. You can see that. They really make a nice set. Here's 3 ethnic angels. These are called friends. This is another wall. And these are all kimono silks and antique fabrics. And these are the 3 friends that are on the wall.
So if you're interested in that, just type in ethnic angel pattern or arthritis doll pattern, and we'll get you the patterns for whichever one you want, or both of them if you want both of them. And the class will be February 3rd and February 10th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So what we'll probably do is everybody will cut and stuff and talk about color and faces, and we'll do the how to do it. And then on the second class, I want to see every dolls that you make and the story or whatever, what they're all about. So I think that'll be really a fun class. When we get going in the doll classes, our goal is to go to do the jester or the lady. And this will be the textbook for the doll class because it has it has a basic doll with the articulated movable fingers. Anyway, these are going to be the textbook. You still have these books, don't you?
Yes, I do.
This has face. When we do that, this is going to be about a 3 or 4 session class. One class will just be articulated fingers. Another class will be face painting and sculpting. So there's going to be a lot to this advanced doll. A lot of people start making doll making and make a jester for their first doll, and then they get maybe one hand done. There's what the carpenter's wheel quilt pattern looks like. And there's what the farmer's market bag pattern looks like. I wanted to show you some more dolls. I went into them, got them out of. I wanted to get feedback on some of these dolls. If you want to do them, Beth and I will do a class, or we'll get pattern. This is a fat fairy. This is a study in gussets. Look at that gal's bum. She is really fun.
Is that sculpted?
Yeah, it's fabric. It's all fabric. Soft
Wow.
sculpted little curvy girl. That's a fat fairy. I taught this one in Australia. And I had just pattern, and I usually make about 10 of the project before I publish the pattern. And that's kind of one of the way I proof it. Well, I didn't have time. It was such a fast one that I didn't have time to proof it. And something was wrong on the pattern, and it didn't. And I had to redraft her during class in Australia to make it work so people could do it. I ended up like sewing extra darts to make their dolls. It was. I always make 10 dolls before I publish the pattern now.
So is that a pattern's available now?
It's called the Fat Fairy pattern.
Okay, so fat fairy pattern. Type that in.
This is a snow angel. This is an easy one. She's a real tiny little snow angel, and she's got wings that are wired, and then you put it on a dissolved gel, and you take your thrums and sew over them, and then it makes real pretty fairy wings. Her skirt, I like the flowers from the cemetery after the sun has faded them. And so I pick them up in cemeteries, and that skirt is a little skirt out of flower petals. So that's a little snow fairy. And she's articulated pipe cleaners in her arms and legs. This is one of, here's another gnome. This is called Drew's gnome. This was in our fairy book, and I pulled it out. It's a wonderful sample. And he's sitting on a spool of thread. Isn't that a cute little guy? That one, once you're good at turning things, that's a real tricky, but they're really fun. They just make you laugh. This is one of my oldest patterns. This is a treetop angel called Luella, the Star Spangled Angel. She is on a toilet paper tube, or it's one of those paper towel tubes. And so it sticks on the tree so that she is a treetop angel. My mother actually made this one from my pattern. And so she's a keepsake. And she's just covered with lace, layers of lace, and layers of really beautiful fabrics, and satin wings. Super easy one. You can see just has a thumb and a little tab head, but a super simple one. It's more about the costuming. So that's an old pattern. And this is one of my original ragdoll patterns, which is not easy, but it's a real doll. And you can see it's real simple, but it does have that gusseted chin that I love. The gusseted chin. The face is embroidered, but this is Marie Claude, and she's a real. You can see she's about 10 inches tall, 10 or 11, real sweet little doll. So those are a few of my older doll patterns.
Well, the tree topper, I think would be fun to
really
do.
doll pattern. You remember her, Beth?
Yeah.
This is Aunt Cora, and she's famous, and she's in Aunt Cora's chair. There's Aunt Cora's chair, 4 sizes of chair. You got a camelback chair for every doll. And I ended up doing a new chair pattern. I found a faster way to do them, and I did a pincushion chair pattern. And when you open the cushion, you can put your goodies in there. In the pattern, I told people you can put your $100 bills in there, or the tooth fairy. And I had this vintage tag. I love it for the back. I love doing vintage laces for the back. This pattern has 2 sizes of chairs. And that's the pincushion chair, a spin-off of the big chair that Aunt Cora sits in. Okay, that was dolls. About the bags, and where the bags are. There's more bags. I've done lots of bags, 10 or 20. What we're going to do. Look at the Santas and the twig deer. Beth carries these patterns. Here they were standing. Here's the recycled Santas. And they're made out of scraps. This is some old ethnic fabrics. Here's a woodsy Santa. I've made him out of old serapes, velour. This is a Santa made out of an old sweater. They are so much fun to make. There's about 4 different sizes. There's a little guy. And to bark at the coyotes going out, barking at the coyotes going by outside at night. These are the twig deer, and I just love them. They mix really well with the Santas. This one is wool. This one is flannel. Aren't those fun? So those patterns, Beth has those for Christmas. So what I'm going to do tonight is demo the chicken chain and rooster ropes. And I'm in the process here of making one. Lynn had to set the computer down, so it messed up my plan here. I'm going to string up these chicken chain for Christmas. And so we're going to go over to the sewing machine next. This is really going to be a challenge since Lynn can't see what we're doing. We're going to sew. I'm going to show one of my very, very most important tricks for doll making. And that is, instead of cutting something out and then trying to sew it, I mark what I'm going to sew. I mark it first before I cut it out. And I'm going to this little bird, and I put just a little slash right there before I double this. And I'm just going to sew this together. And I want to show you this. Lynn made me this foot. He made this foot. It's a 1/4 inch foot, but he cut the inside of the foot so I can see. I have an open-toed foot, so I can see what I'm sewing. So this way I sew on the line. I'm putting my fabrics right sides together. This as the tail is open because I'm going to add a tassel tail. And then when you get done, then the reason you didn't want to have that, it would be really hard to keep that from going down into the machine. Each single hole foot, it would be too hard to turn. So I do the sewing first, and then I cut a 1/16 of an inch. Look at it on a office ruler. Do a 1/16 of an inch seam allowance. Cut it. That way, when you turn this little bird inside out, it's going to move when you turn him inside out. Don't get too close, or you can poke it when you do your turn. Okay. So there he's ready to be turned inside out. I said I made a little slash. That slash is where the wing is going to cover that up. So it'll be really easy to, and I'm going to make the slash just a little bit bigger. Reach inside with the unclamps. Hold out of unclamps at the retreat, and I'm having to order and have Lynn make new ones. They're basically stats, and Lynn the locks off of them and polishes them so they release, because I use them to stuff and turn things inside out. But you can see how handy that is. This beats the straw and the chopstick. And then I use the point very carefully to poke out the little nose. This is going to be a little psychedelic bird. Now he's going to have an open, because I'm going to put a tassel. I'm going to put the yarn in there. When I make the wing for him, it'll cover up that hole, but I'm going to stuff him through that hole. So when you stuff him, I want to tell you why this is such an important thing to mark, then sew. When I'm doing an advanced pattern, say, here are those gesture hands. Look at those babies. Can you imagine trying to cut that out and sew that? That is the sewing line. And I used the fix-on pin. When you iron, that line will disappear. But I go all the way around that first, and then that arm out with a 1/16 of an inch seam. And and I do the same on the legs for the doll. That way you can get perfect sewing by doing it that way. So that's why this little bird, doing it this way, why that's such an important thing. A basic, a quilt or a doll making basic. I like this kind of batting the best. It's premium polyester fiber fill. And it's a Fairfield brand. Beth carries it. She has giant boxes of it at her store. She usually provides it. Don't when you do stuffing, don't put little tiny pieces in. You want to try to put as much in, kind of elongate, but don't let it pull apart. Just kind of get it so it'll go in the hole, and just this is what the clamps do. You clamp it and you hold shut, and then you release and that leaves the stuffing in there. So you can see how much stuff I'm working it in as I go.
And the reason you like the clamps is because it doesn't cut every time, so it's just easier.
Yeah, it keeps you from carpal tunnel. If they clamped, it would hurt your hands to do that. Okay, and I'm just working my way around and until I get it full. But you see, that was almost one piece of batting. Now I'll add some more. Before I add some more, I don't want to stuff that in. I want to get another big piece started. I want it to kind of blend together. And we're about there.
That way you avoid that lumpy cellulite look.
That's right. And it's quick too. It's very quick. I love doing this.
We have the unplants. Virginia's husband makes them for us.
Yeah. And they're also on my site too. But there we go. We're ready to glue the wings on. Now I'm going to show you how to do the wings. Wings, you need to mark a right wing and a left wing because your wings are going to be directional. And then put a tiny little clip. Again, wing, it's not going to show. That little clip is going to be hidden when you glue it to the bird. Get this out. This got kind of big. It'll be harder to cover, but the wing will cover that hole. So I clipped in so I can turn these, put right sides to, this is the wing for this little psychedelic bird. Put these two layers together and you have all the stuff from your quilting. This is some fusible batting that I use all the time for my machine quilting. Just lay that down and you just set that right to the batting like this. So you don't have to stuff it.
Oh, very smart. Very smart.
Yeah, it's not fun.
This is why you should take classes, because I learn something new every time.
Well, drawing is one of my things, and I like those drawn details, like real fingers and pretty. So anyway, you do that, and you have a little wing like this, for example. And again, you're going to cut it out a 1/16 of an inch.
Like go a little bit up. Go a little bit up so we can see your hands. There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, he can't see what he's shooting behind. And
I'm
then
like
take the little
guide dog. I'll let you know.
Well, the other tablet the computer was in the way of the demo. And then you pull that inside out. Okay, now it's a little tight, so I'm going to give that a little bit extra clip there. Make that hole just a little bit bigger. Don't get it too big. There we go. Now I can get it. I can finish. I would pick the littlest wing to do this.
Well, and your demo wing, it never works right during a demo.
Well, that's right. At least I didn't run out of thread or break a needle or anything like that.
Good night, still young.
No, I'm almost done. All right, there we go. There's our wing. And I'll show you how that works. These clamps really work really well for these. Because they also, and see, you will glue and it covers that hole. Is that too cute or what?
Too cute.
Now I'm going to go over to the table and I'm going to show you how to make the beads. Here's some little, these are some cardinals that I've already done, and I sewed, and they've got their wings, and I got three cardinals.
They're adorable. Well,
and I'm making red.
I love to put them on wreaths.
Right. I've wreaths. You could even put those on a plant stick if you wanted to. This is some of the yarns that I did. These are the fancy yarns. I like fluffy and shiny mixed with, but I like variegated. So these are on the ones, the jewel tone ones. And I had some shaggy red, and I cut some really thin strips of red batik to make this tassel for the bottom of this one. This is a combination of fabric and the yarn.
We might need a tassel class.
Oh, tassels! I'll show you how to make one here in 5 minutes. Here is the bead. How to make the bead. I keep plastic on my table, and I got a wet washcloth here, and I got water. You can use Stiffy, Mod Podge. You can use glue or white glue with water. You can get shiny. You can get matte. Whatever. I'm using Stiffy today, so I'm going to make some Stiffy beads. I just pour it out, and just some container that I had, and all you do is paint these. These are my strips. I sew strips. It tells you all this in the pattern, and it has patterns for everything. You cut your long triangles. There we go. I just do a whole bunch because I kind of get on a roll. I start making beads, and I'll make dozens and dozens of them, and I've done them all up. This is all I had left because I've been making beads for Beth, and I made some for Workman Farms. So I'm doing new, fresh samples that are happier, fresh and bright. It's really fun to get the old patterns out and improve them. So I'm doing beads. I already did my red beads. Here's the beads drying that I did this morning. I went into my bead collection and have any red beads, no Christmassy beads, and I like big. And I'm running low on felt balls also. So I decided to just make round red beads for this little cardinal. And these cardinals would be cute in a greenery wreath as well, or on a twig wreath. Okay, now, these are coffee stirrers or cocktail things, and I cut these in thirds. And then I'm going to roll a bead up onto one of these. This is the inside. It's inside these beads. So I roll it up. Here we go. And I let this squeeze its way out because it'll dry, but I let it squeeze out, and see how my bead is getting fatter. Do it this way. Is that showing?
Yep.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And as it gets smaller, see, these were like, I found some ants in my grandmother's stuff. These were portraits. They used to 1920s. They made them out of wallpaper, leftover wallpaper, colored magazines, and then they made beads. I have an old here the fabric was on. These are silk pins. You know, the pins with the little tiny heads, and they're going to dry. That's how they dry. Has anybody made these before?
No. So you just have holes in the bolt scores, and then they just stick the straw in there.
And the straw stays in forever. Yeah. Let me show you. Let me make one more bead.
Mary Lou said she used to make those like that with magazines.
With what?
Magazines. They used to make magazines.
Right. One of my chicken chains had shiny magazines, and I used the shiny stiffy. Okay. Anyway, once they're dry and you want to use them, like here's a little red bead that I'm going to use. When you get ready to use them, just cut off the excess. I did these about noon today, so they dried all afternoon. And there's your little bead.
A little bit. Yep.
You see
Yep.
it?
Wait up.
Okay.
There you go. Oh my God. I think we have to have like a bead making party.
Oh, it's fun. Oh, it's a big mess though. You got to have big rubber tablecloth. Now I'm going to show you how to for stringing up your chains. And the reason I want to show you how is it's not in the pattern. It may be in the pattern. I don't know. I wrote this pattern 30 years ago. But anyway, I use upholstery and a long doll needle. This needle's about 4 inches long, and I tie a long one, longer than what this is going to end up being. But you want a good waxed upholstery cord, and you can buy it at specialty stores. I still got sticky fingers. Hang on. Here's some more of the strips that I was going to cut. You can see for the little this makes a little bead like that, and then the big bead was the wider one. It's how big you make the strips, and they don't have to be perfect. Now you're gonna catch this. Already made the tassel, and I've got a knot in this, and I'm going to pull this up through the middle of the tassel to get it started. And it's knotted. And I'll take an extra stitch here. Can you see? There we go. And I had a plan here till we set the computer down. So I'm going to make as I go. I'm going to start with a green bead, a big green bead. And I'm going to make a heart on there, a gold heart. And this is in the pattern. This is felt or wool, and these are little red pom-poms that you can get. I'm going to slide up through the middle of the little heart. That. And I'm going to stitch this, give this stitches in place. So it doesn't, I don't want it slipping on me. So I stitch that in place. So now that's set. I can already see I need to put something on the back of that heart because these things might turn. Now, I think I'll do another and I'll do a big round red one and another green. I think that would make a pretty.
And this is your chains pattern, right?
This is chicken chains and rooster ropes. I have some little glass here, but I don't think I need. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to use the big green one next.
So if you guys like the chicken chains, Virginia also has a string of fish with a mermaid that you can order, and the flock of wrens with
all of those patterns. You can audition him, make sure he goes the way you want him to go. You might another angle because you can have your birds diving or whatever. Once you get this, you want to stitch this in place again so it doesn't slip. He's all slipping on you. And my old ones slipped. That's why I've changed them. Anyway, that's what you do. You do need something, some way to start and stop a tassel. And you need to sew in to end it. So I'll have a felt bead. I end this. I end it with a felt bead so I can stabilize a loop to make the loop. You know what I mean? So you want to start. That's why I have this. Just help stabilize everything. But you want to sew into things. Now I'll show you how to make a tassel. This will be a tassel for a jewel tone. And I'm going to get some fuzzy, there it is. I'm going to make I'm going to make the tassel I'll make a tail tassel. I'll just make a little one, big, a tail tassel. That is about the width of my 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, about 4 of those would be enough for a tail. And then get a little piece, like a little extra piece. And
a lot of you guys have already gotten our little bundles of yarn, those writing bundles of yarn that we sell. These
right.
you to make tassels.
Yeah, you know what? I was a weaver and a spinner, so I've always used yarn for doll hair too. So I have a huge collection of yarn, but I don't know. I just collect stuff, and it's in handy. Okay, this is going to go in the tail. This is a short tassel. I'm going to clip it now. Now, if it was the big tassel for the bottom, I would wrap it with a matching thread, like with purple thread. I would just wrap it like that with thread. And that's how I would make it. This one I don't have to, because it's going to go in the I'll get that one I just did.
It's going to go in the rear end.
It'll go in him. This will go in here, and I'll sew it onto his tail.
Down a little bit. Perfect. There you go. Perfect. So cute. I love it with yarn.
So I think that's everything. I think I covered.
Do you guys have questions, Virginia? You did really well, Virginia. And you did amazing filming blindly.
I want to show you on the advanced dolls. Just a second.
Okay. We can definitely make beads at the retreat, and I think an exchange party for beads would be fun.
When's your next retreat? Is it May?
May.
Yeah. Look at these fingers. This is where we're going, is related fingers, and they have pipe cleaners in them to hold things. And you can make them look more human that way. These guys have a big ball of steel shot, like for reloading supplies, in their butt, and there's nothing in the top leg. That way my dolls sit on their own. They don't fall over. And they have fluffy bloomers. And the feet are stuffed from the knee down. So there's all kinds of tricks like that, with just dozens and dozens all making tricks. 40 years of soft sculpture, and it makes you laugh. It just makes people laugh, and people love them. So I love to do crafts. I like 2-dimensional. I like 3-dimensional. It's all fun. It's all sewing, right?
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
So what we're doing in January, we're doing the farmer's market bag. In February, we're doing the Earth dolls. And I think I'm going to do the arthritis doll. The best one of this one. I'm going to update this ethnic angel, and I'm going to do her as maybe a fancy going to the opera, like with ball gown or something. Also, what you could do on a flat-faced doll like this, if you guys do the faces of people, you could actually photograph and run it through your printer and do somebody's face, make the doll with somebody's face on it.
Yeah.
And then in February and the beginning of March, we're going to do the quilt, which will be a big color class, and then it's going to be a technical class on how to match funny corners. So when you put a big quilt together, when you get some of these corners, there's 6 or 8 different intersections. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you make it match? And so it's like sort of an intermediate. A beginner can do it, but it's an intermediate piecing class and color class. So you're really going to get
intermediate when they're finished.
You'll be intermediate. If you're a confident beginner, you can do it. But like I said, I only had 2 people, and one of them teaches all the time. They were the only ones that ever finished clock in class. Now, a lot of people finished class when they weren't stressed out and visiting with their neighbor. Something happens in these classes, where they just get to playing.
Exactly. And but if making a whole quilt seems overwhelming, they could just make one block and learn the techniques and learn all about color theory and the different things we're going to be discussing.
I would tell them if they don't want to make a quilt to do a 3 or 4 block runner, a table runner,
Okay.
or a wall hanging with 4 blocks. That way we could play with color more, at least 4 blocks in order to play with, because you have to learn what is warm and what is cool. And so in your collecting, you want to collect things that contrast and things that kind of go together. Like if you're doing a country quilt, keeping that genre. This one an elegant quilt. It's not as scrappy as some of the quilts are with scrappy. So if you have a big stash collection, you could do the 5 color quilts, no problem. If you don't, you need to, and you want to do this class, you need to start buying light and dark fat quarters to play with, or quarter yards or third yards, whatever. Things that go together, because that contrast in the block. And you can buy the pattern at a time and look at it real carefully and look at the rows where there'll be a hole on the diagonal, a cool row of blues and greens and teal, and then alternating with the warmth of the reds, the pinks, and the yellows. So you get that warm and cool contrast. And again, that's so that the corner blocks make you don't just have a blob in the corner. You have another nice secondary block. So
right.
That's what we're doing.
Do you want the pin cushion share or the original pattern with the 4 different sizes? Because I know you do doll making. Sure. Let me know if you want the pin cushion one or the one with the 4 different sizes that the big doll is in.
This is the pin cushion. It has the 2 and the doll one goes as big as Aunt Cora's, like a big 16-inch chair, down to a littler one for one about that size.
Perfect. And then Mary Lou wants to know, when will the update bird chain bead fit be out?
The only thing I'm really updating is I'm using yarn in the tails instead of the fabric strips, and I am sewing everyone. Each time I add a bird or something, I sew it. I lock stitch it, and that might be in the pattern. Those are the only 2 changes I've made. What I'm probably going to do though is a new pattern front, because I like my new ones. They're fresher and prettier than the original pattern front. So
perfect. Mary Lou, if you get the pattern, if we put that in the pattern we have in your basket, it basically has everything except for the yarns for the tail feathers.
Yeah, just use yarn.
Yep. Okay, perfect, Beverly. Yeah. And then any other questions for Virginia? Heidi said, "Oh, here. All of Virginia's classes are $45. So the arthritis doll class to do the ethnic angel is February 3rd and 10th from 9 to 11. Correct. And okay, perfect, Heidi. I got your message. All right. Any other questions for Virginia? Mary Lou wants to know if you ever sleep. Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, I sleep. I get used to now how I've slowed down a lot, but it's winter, so the evenings are long. It's dark here at 4:30. It's dark, and I just cannot just sit around. I have to do something. I love handwork. I think that's why I like these bird chains, because it's easy handwork to stuff them, and you can kind of listen to a movie or TV or whatever. And of course, I always love to have a quilt that I'm quilting when I'm out of other projects. And I don't know what there is about it, but once you make one, you want to make 10. Give them to everybody. I made these for the retreat, for the Thanksgiving retreat, and I taught it, and 8 gals made them. It was so cute, such a cute picture. Anyway, and I made one that's also an app. But I made it. I got home from retreat. I had given away so many. I was so excited about these and make such good gifts that I made another whole basket of these at Thanksgiving. I had them all over the house. But they're really big for little pins and pencils. So I only use this for my doll making pins. So these are my big long doll needles. These are my big fat. These are practically nails. This is what I use if I'm pinning thing really difficult that I want it to stay in place. Like if I'm sewing that chin on, I take one of these heavy pins like that, and they're real strong. And then I can do my ladder stitch to sew that head on, and this holds them. So these are my craft pins. So I have to have a special doll making pin cushions. Otherwise, your little pins would get lost and your little needles would get lost. So
And
anyway,
Rhonda wants to know, how big is the room you're in?
I don't know, Lynn. How big is this room?
15.
It's like a big bedroom with lots of windows.
A big bedroom.
A big bedroom.
Or a dining room.
Yeah. And it's also my my office. This is my light table here. And then this is my messy desk. This is my desk with more filing on the floor. This is the printing presses, one of the printing presses here. We have printing presses in the basement. And then their whole wall is fabric.
Oh my gosh, look at the fabric wall.
There's more fabric under here, all labeled. This is flannels and wovens. These are ethnic fabrics, and these are serape fabrics. So everything is labeled or in clear boxes. There's everything underneath here is all storage. More storage under here. My scraps are under this drafting table here. Here's another box lid of those scraps, my oranges and yellows. These are on a shelf under that table. And there's all embroidery threads because I got to keep them from being dusty and faded. There's all the embroidery threads. This is all the notions drawers with a lot of patterns here. And then you can see I have patterns in trappers over here in my favorite books. The basement's full of more stuff, though. I can't have everything up here all the time because I can't move, you know.
And a chair for guests and dogs.
Yeah, a chair for guests and little dogs. Oh,
I grow up, I want to have a room like you. Wait, go back. You've got a you have a quilt in the making on the wall. I saw it.
Right? Yes, that's what I was going to tell you. Remember that I bought this this week. I bought at your shop.
Yes.
The Kathy Daughtery.
Yes.
I have plenty of that left, and I'm working on. I'm using the leftovers, and I'm going to add more fabrics. But I started an improv quilt here. I will probably have that on the wall for about 2 months. Design, but you can gimme improv quilt. I
love the fabrics.
Yeah, look at this. This is an old Laura Ashley fabric. I've saved this stuff for later, and now it's later. But I love that for one of the backgrounds. It goes with this. And look at this doozy piecing.
Oh my God!
So they can. That pattern is hollyhock.
No, this is I'm a Farmer's Daughter pattern is the name of this block.
Okay.
And it's a Jim Kingwell design.
Yeah.
But I just wanted you to see that's pinwheel. Everything is pinwheel pressed. This is advanced. It's hand pieced, but you can see that there's 8 corners, all pinwheel presses. And then the pinwheels reverse here. See how they reverse? Yes. They reverse again, and then they reverse again.
I see it.
So you have everything flat as a pancake and perfectly perfect corners. That's the kind of thing that we got into with the hollyhock class. We did that with all kinds of different blocks. We did that for a year. So that was really fun.
That was
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you, I think you're going to sell that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That ready. Maybe
We're going
this
to
winter.
the pre-recorded recordings. The recording.
Right. And you'll see his work, his very first camera work, that very first time he did it on the first one, towards the end where he got really good at it. And we had to go to town today when we realized it was going to be dark, particularly in the living room. But Lynn went to town and he bought new fluorescents. And look at the double hung lights in our studio. And we did the living room. The living room is so in here. It would be too dark to do this, to see the color and everything.
Yeah, we all need a Lynn.
We're gonna have to practice this. We're gonna have to practice the setup though. We're having too many Facebook problems. I think something was wrong with Facebook and we couldn't hook up for some reason.
But you know what? I had some issues with Facebook a couple of weeks ago. It wouldn't let me log in. I had to off the devices and back in.
Right.
And then StreamYard, that hosts this way of doing it, it's kind of like them and StreamYard and Facebook have been fighting or something. They've been having issues.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sometimes when I watch people's, I can't hear them either. So I hope you can hear okay on mine. I hope the sound is working okay.
Yeah.
So, and Beth, I want some of your Monday ones, if they have questions right before class, to help them shop or whatever too. Just do a quickie and be good practice for us.
Perfect. Yes. Yep. Okay. Do you guys have other questions for Virginia before we let her go to relax? Sandy says, lovely work in studio. Heidi says, I'm so glad to hear there is another room full of stuff.
Oh, got a basement full, are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Virginia. And I hope you have a great holiday, and we are looking forward to a full year of fun stuff.
Okay, will do. And you too. Everybody, we'll talk to you in January.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. All right. Well, on Wednesday at 4. Susan says, thank you, Virginia. That was great.
Okay.
All right. Have a great couple of days. See you on Wednesday.